The rain hammered against the windows of my small apartment in Seattle, mirroring the storm raging inside me. Theron, a 43-year-old architect, stared at the text messages on my phone, each one a fresh stab wound. "I can't stop thinking about you," one read. "Last night was incredible," said another. They were from my wife, Isolde, to a number I didn't recognize. Isolde and I had been married for 15 years. We met in college, two art students drawn together by a shared love of design and a mutual appreciation for each other's creativity. Our life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. We had built a comfortable existence, a beautiful home filled with art, and a life centered around our shared passions. Or so I thought. The first inkling that something was amiss came a few months ago. Isolde, a talented graphic designer, started working late more frequently. She'd come home exhausted, her eyes red-rimmed, claiming the demands of her new project were overwhelming. I chalked it up to professional ambition, proud of her drive. I even started making her favorite dinners on those late nights, trying to ease her burden. Then came the subtle changes in her behavior. She became distant, less affectionate. Our conversations dwindled, replaced by monosyllabic replies and averted gazes. Intimacy, once a cornerstone of our relationship, became a rarity. I tried to talk to her to understand what was going on, but she brushed me off, attributing it to stress and fatigue. "Just give me some space, Theron," she'd say, her voice laced with irritation. "I'll be back to normal soon." But she wasn't back to normal. She was growing more distant, more secretive. It was like she was slowly slipping away, becoming a stranger in my own home. I started noticing things: a lingering scent of a cologne I didn't recognize, a new lipstick shade she claimed was a gift from a client, the way she flinched when I touched her. My unease grew into annoying anxiety. I started checking her phone when she was in the shower, a shameful act I never thought I was capable of. That's when I found the text messages. My world tilted on its axis. I spent the next few days in a daze, replaying our life together in my mind, searching for clues I had missed, moments where the truth might have been visible. I felt like I was living in a movie, watching a scene unfold that couldn't possibly be real. My wife, the woman I loved, the woman I had built my life with, was cheating on me. I finally decided to confront her. I waited for her to come home from work, the text messages displayed on my phone. When she walked in, her face lighting up with a practiced smile, I held up the phone. "Who is this, Isolde?" I asked, my voice trembling despite my efforts to remain calm. Her face paled. The smile vanished, replaced by a look of stark terror. "Theron, I can explain," she stammered. "Explain what?" "Explain how you've been lying to me for months. Explain how you've been betraying me behind my back." My voice rose, the anger finally breaking through the numbness. She started to cry, the tears streaming down her face. "It just happened," she sobbed. "It wasn't supposed to happen. It was a mistake, a mistake." I repeated, incredulous. "These messages don't sound like a mistake, Isolde. They sound like a full-blown affair." She confessed then, the words tumbling out in a torrent of guilt and shame. The man was named Stellan, a colleague at her firm. They had been working closely together on a project, and one thing led to another. She claimed it was a moment of weakness, a lapse in judgment. She swore it was over. But the damage was done. The trust was shattered, the foundation of our marriage crumbled. I couldn't look at her without seeing the betrayal in her eyes. The thought of her with another man, touching her, kissing her, filled me with a rage I had never known. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I want you out of my house." She begged me to reconsider, to give her another chance. She promised to do anything to win back my trust. But I was resolute. I couldn't forgive her. The pain was too deep, the wound too raw. She left that night, taking a suitcase filled with her clothes and personal belongings. As I watched her drive away, I felt a strange mix of emotions: sadness, anger, relief, and a profound sense of loss. My life as I knew it was over. The following weeks were a blur. I barely ate, barely slept. I wandered around the apartment like a ghost, haunted by memories of Isolde. I replayed our conversations, our shared moments, searching for answers, for reasons why she would do this to me. I confided in my friend Vigo, a landscape architect I'd known since high school. He was shocked and supportive, offering a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. "You deserve better, Theron," he said. "She doesn't deserve you." Vigo helped me find a lawyer and the divorce proceedings began. It was a messy, painful process, filled with accusations and recriminations. Isolde tried to reconcile, sending me emails and leaving voicemails begging me to forgive her, but I refused to respond. I couldn't bear to hear her voice, to see her face. As the divorce progressed, I started to uncover more about Stellan. He was married with 2 young children. He had a reputation for being a womanizer, a charmer who preyed on vulnerable women. I felt a surge of anger, not just at Isolde, but at him. He had knowingly broken up my marriage, destroyed my life. I decided to confront him. I tracked him down at his office and waited for him outside. When he emerged, I walked up to him, my fists clenched. "You're Stellan, right?" I asked, my voice low and menacing. He looked at me, his eyes widening in recognition. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice hesitant. "I am Theron, Isolde's husband," I said. "You ruined my life." He didn't say anything, just stared at me, his face pale with fear. I wanted to hit him, to unleash all the anger and pain I had been holding inside, but I stopped myself. Violence wasn't the answer. Instead, I told him exactly what I thought of him, how he was a selfish, pathetic excuse for a man. I told him how he had destroyed my marriage, how he had hurt Isolde, how he had betrayed his own family. He tried to defend himself, to justify his actions, but I didn't listen. I just walked away, leaving him standing there, his face filled with shame. The divorce was finalized a few months later. I was awarded the apartment and a settlement. Isolde moved to another city, starting a new life. I never saw her again. In the aftermath of the divorce, I felt lost and adrift. My life had been upended, my future uncertain. I threw myself into my work, finding solace in the creative process. I started taking on new projects, designing buildings that reflected my own resilience and strength. I also started seeing a therapist, trying to process the trauma of the betrayal. It was a long and difficult journey, but slowly I began to heal. I learned to forgive myself for not seeing the signs, for not being able to prevent what happened. One day, Vigo invited me to a gallery opening. He knew I had been feeling isolated, and he thought it would be good for me to get out and socialize. I hesitated at first, but I eventually agreed to go. At the gallery, I met a woman named Evander. She was a sculptor, her work bold and expressive. We struck up a conversation, talking about art and life. I found myself drawn to her warmth and intelligence. Over the next few months, Evander and I started seeing each other. She was kind, compassionate, and understanding. She listened to my story without judgment, offering support and encouragement. Slowly, I began to trust her, to open myself up to the possibility of love again. With Evander, I found a new sense of hope. She showed me that it was possible to move on from the past, to rebuild my life, to find happiness again. She helped me realize that I was worthy of love, that I deserved to be with someone who truly valued and respected me. One evening, as we sat on my balcony, watching the sunset over the Seattle skyline, Evander turned to me and said, "Theron, I love you." I looked at her, my heart filled with emotion. "I love you too, Evander," I said. In that moment, I knew that I had finally found peace. I had survived the betrayal, the heartbreak, the loss, and I had emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient. My life wasn't the life I had planned, but it was a good life, and I was grateful for it. I learned a lot about myself through this process. I learned that betrayal is a really traumatic thing to go through, and you need to take care of yourself and let yourself grieve, and not try to rush back into another relationship until you are ready. Getting professional help is also important. I am sharing my story because I know that I am not the only person to go through this, and I hope that by sharing my story, I can encourage other people who are going through something similar to seek help and know that they are not alone.